is work in progress, and it's also about feedback, and what actually shows here might not be the final product, obviously. So the most important thing. Oh, okay. So I was talking over myself. Sorry, I was muting myself.
Yeah, and you know what?
Sorry.
I apologize to everyone in there. As I
Yeah.
said, my computer did restart, so it actually restarted all the audio settings on my broadcasting software, which I've just fixed that. So we are now actually broadcasting sound to the YouTube channel as well. So no need to panic, everyone. That issue has been addressed just now.
Anyway, so I I I just hope that everyone can follow me when I continue. Anyway, so yeah, everything is up to change. Just know that this is an alpha, which means in short that uh, al- this is what we got so far. Is this what we want to go with? Do we want to change something? That's why we have testers who can try it out, and it's up for debate. Everything kinda. Um, So this first is the rare commands, which actually is like the game message that David can send out to everyone to show, and it's the rare commands that the monarch can set up and stewards, obviously. And this is to actually always highlight um, that the new order, so to speak. And I have been in uh, how do you say it? I have had different things about this because I think that maybe the province is the most important, but how do we highlight the rare commands and the orders that are actually given? So this may change. We will see what people think about it, I guess. So let's go into the province part, which is obviously your own throne page. This is also what's shown on the homepage. And there are some changes here on my phone that most of you do not have, testers, that is. But usually it looks quite nice, I think. Uh, I have not very many comments on this, but I guess the race, personality, and ruler is a bit big, so it might not be the most important thing that you're looking at. So there might be some slight UI changes there, I think. Um,
I think everybody
and that's all.
understands that you as a developer, KAGGE, are not very creative, right? I think most people understand that aspect. Developers, do that tunnel vision right there, right? It works, and that's about all I said I would do, right? And then that's why we have others like Ice Buckle and others that are helping with the design process, so that the people like that are more technical visioned, can get out of their own ways, right?
Yeah, like my graphic, I know when something looks bad, but it's hard for me to change it to look
Nobody's
right.
telling you that it
So,
looks bad, KAGGE. Don't believe any of those people that say it looks bad. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and we just need to make it more
yeah, well,
beautiful. That's all.
Yeah, and
anyways,
to be honest, there's just minor changes. I think that I would say need to be made to this UI, because I mean ultimately we want it to look good, but also get as much information in the player's hands as possible without having to scroll down as much. Because that's one of the current problems we have with just using the website. You constantly have to resize and scroll up and down and go all over. Well, at least I don't know, that's a huge problem that I have all the time. It's like every time I log in, the font is like 2, and I need to like zoom in all the way just to see what buildings I have or what my ruler name is. So I mean, it's good that we have this separation, but again, like you said, there's some optimization, some minor upgrades that could be done to the UI to make it a little bit easier to navigate for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so good at exploring right now. It's just like I'm so easy. I mean, I just get on and explore. It's like Nothing's slowing me down.
Yeah. So, well, Throne is pretty much done with the province. We also got state. This should now contain everything that state does for Throne. Nothing really special here. We have changed actually some of the things, same on Throne, with how it looked originally, especially that it's actually 2 lines for each. Like you have unemployed here. I'm not sure if I can like highlight it, but you have unemployed as the title above, and then you have how many unemployed below. That was not how it was when I first released it, but when we actually had it on smaller phones, it was quite a big issue that everything overlapped everywhere. So, well, the thought was, how do we make it a little bit more compact? So for now, like this, and I must say it looks a lot better than it was the first time around. The other part here is the recent trends, which is something at least I look at a lot, and it's actually a side scroll, and it has worked out very well for now. And there are some issues still with it being like overlapping and stuff, but it's smaller changes, and you can easily look backwards. But usually what I look at is the yesterday thing, how much did I gain? So I think it's pretty nice. It might be that recent trends is a bit more important than the other ones, but if you compare it to the homepage, it's kind of the same order, right? So a little bit of scrolling is necessary. So I guess that's the Throne part for now. And if we look at the other ones, there won't be much except the province management, and all these 5 that you can see here are implemented pretty much fully, all of them. So I guess we will start at the top and go downward. So we have mystics, which are your self spells, and of course we have an issue.
So I think the only thing that
At
doesn't
least-
actually work is the release. We have military training, but we can't release anything. Is that right?
Yeah,
Everything-
I think,
everything
you
else
have the
works.
council thing,
Yeah.
but the council is kind of like the states, right? So they
Right.
are usually disconnected from the ordinary state. So I don't count them towards being the same functionality. So for like growth, for like building, I can't build as a function, and the council will be a
Right.
different function, so to speak.
So
but-
show us how
yeah.
awesome your build page is. You
Yeah,
get to the good
I
stuff.
actually got the mystic to work. I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, right. I can take this right away. 6 do not work currently,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's why I had an issue. 6 will return an error, and the only thing the app would show is that something went wrong.
Gotcha.
So-
Thankfully, on Genesis, 6 only lasts about 15 seconds. So
Yeah, exactly. So this is the Mystic self-spell, where you can see your usual stats for everything, and if you want to cast something, you just press it. And there will be a little nice magician showing whatever. And also there is the spell, which some have actually missed, I think. And especially for like if you do tug, actually get a little total gained, so to speak.
Tree of Gold. Oh my goodness, how many people are excited about Tree of Gold not actually casting anonymity? I mean, that's like the best part of actually casting Tree of
when
Gold. Is that right?
Yeah, when cancels, you press the wrong button.
You hit Tree of Gold, and then you keep hitting, cast again, thinking you're Tree of Golding, except you're actually casting anonymity. That's the best part.
Yeah, and
I'm sure so many people are
a
excited
bit
about
of
that.
summary, right? You get your GC gained, at the bottom, which I think is like nice quality of life. It is the same for Paradise. The issue is that currently the API shouldn't return Paradise as an active spell for me as I'm under protection, which means that it won't work. But um,
I can move you out into the world if you would like.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really should have not thought about that.
I have to say, I do appreciate
Right?
I do appreciate having the big buttons. Definitely makes it a lot easier to cast spells. Again, as David said, I have accidentally hit anonymity a few times, among other things too, that I really didn't want to use, and it really screwed me sometimes because I needed.
You got a question for KAGGE. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your
Yeah, I think you got it, KAGGE.
name. KAGGE. How long have you been working on the app?
Yeah, so I started actually working on that before I actually got in touch with David. So I think it was about 1 year and 6 months ago, maybe a little bit more. I started to pound David in PM. And at first he was a little bit hesitant because he didn't respond to me. So I started to build the app without him knowing. And then I started posting videos to him and keep like poking him. And in the end, I think I messaged Tom a bit as well. And after a bit of poking after that, I got a response. So, and yeah, so on that road it is, I guess.
We all appreciate your effort for that one. Because like the app has taken a while to produce, so like having it actually be available now is great.
Yeah, so building an app is like not that hard, right? But it's a lot of code that goes into it, and especially when the backend isn't ready, we need to like cooperate to get to like get the information I need, and David needs to like know that it works on his end. So, and you could say that it's actually a dual purpose because it's not just that the app works. Like I get the information I need. It's actually something that could, like if you wanna rebuild the homepage, if you have a working API with the current like usual framework like Angular and such, they work exactly the same. So if I get the information needed, they will get the information needed. So it's easy to rebuild if you want Angular, React, or whatever language you wanna.
Yeah, so KAGGE right there is alluding to some of the really, really great stuff that we haven't even mentioned. The ability to completely, reformat the existing web version of the game will be entirely possible in, brand new, like the current modern technologies of software development that's out there right now, which will make, obviously responsive design, the ability for it to work like you would expect a modern website to work, built off of the APIs that we're building for essentially the app to use. So it really opens up the door to be something that's what we would hope Utopia could be in the 2022s of the time here. So it really is excellent. As KAGGE said there, he started about 1.5 years ago. I think it probably took about 3 or 4 months before we actually got in touch. Where you had started building videos of it and showed me, and then we got in touch, and from there it went pretty quick to where we got. There was a meeting between myself, Monk, and KAGGE there, and we discussed what it would take, how we could do it, and whether or not it would actually be feasible on the current platforms that we're using. And then it took some time, Monk and myself, to get it up and running. So the beginning was really slow. It was really slow. Like the first 6 months, after we actually decided, okay, let's go, we can do this, it's going to work. It probably took about 6 months before I think you got the first one that you could actually use, right? Where the authentication worked. Yeah, it was probably about 6 months before the first API worked. And then after that, it probably took another 3 months before, I told Monk to, stop sucking. and I took over everything that he wasn't doing, and then since then development's been much faster.
Yeah, and it has sped up since then. So, and
Yeah, and
especially,
and of course, Kagge's taken everything. He built everything. He's not going to say this, but he built everything that you see here. He built it all using some terrible software that he loved for some reason, and then he got a new job, and to get this new job, he had to learn this new product that made doing all this stuff so simple that I think he hates himself, his past self, for not knowing how to do it before. Because what he does now, like he completely rebuilds all these pages in like half a day, when it took like a week to build one, and now he's rebuilding like the entire page in half a day with this new system that he uses, and it's amazing. So the strides that we're going to take going forward is really pretty impressive.
I remember Monk when they first started, like it was it took forever to actually get it going.
Yeah, it was really slow in the beginning, but where we are right now, while we only have like as Kagi is going to finish showing you guys what we have here, while there's only these 5 pages. I mean, there's more than 5, but these 5 basic pages are the only ones that are available. The ability for us to go from 5 to almost ready to open up like a beta for more people to be able to almost play the game entirely. Leadership and monarchs and things like that might take a little bit longer, but like opening it up to beta where everybody can test actual functions and like gameplay is not our way. Based on Kagge's ability to build these new screens quickly, new views quickly, and that he needs done, and format it in a way that he can use them, is so much better than it was a year ago or even 6 months ago.
Yeah, I have to say I saw some of
yeah,
the
so
changes that were
to
made.
speak about that,
It's amazing.
uh, thank you. Yeah, so to speak on that is that the original way of working is a lot more code intensive, and after like me applying for a new job where they required me to work on another way, like another framework, and realizing that just a lot better, and it's the Google like preferred way, and of course I had to like redesign a lot of stuff and redo a lot of stuff, but when those base stuff were set up, it's very like a lot easier to like create the layouts that you actually see. So I've actually already like recreated the front page in this way, and it took like I think like 25% of the time. So I think that the work has sped up significantly like the last 2 months, and it's really fun to have some people testing it and get some feedback over it. But I guess I should show you like the last few screens before this like takes 2 more hours. So let's get into growth. And here you see like your regular status effect, and you see your building. And if you want to go for like, yeah, I want to increase your army, so you can either move slider, which I prefer, and some do not. I've realized talking to everyone, but you can also like should. I will just say this should because when you shoot something, everything goes wrong usually. But it seems to work. Yeah. So you can input percent, you can input amount, or you can change the slider. It doesn't matter. You can choose your preferred way of doing this. The only limiting factor here is how many unbuilt acres do you have. So it will take into account your undeveloped acres, and if I have now put all of these in here, you will not be able to like increase it here, because it will always take into account what can you actually build, right? And to try and do this in a way, yeah, right. So this growth page also takes into account how many you have in progress, how many do you own. So if you want to change your build and you want to do like, yeah, I don't want mills anymore, maybe I want a little bit less farms, and you add a little bit of everything else. If you press build, you will see a summary, which does not exist on the home page. It will show you how much it costs, and it should update depending on what you choose here. Everything should update correctly, I hope. This is alpha, so please test this one out. And the most important thing to know here is that it will first and foremost cancel buildings if necessary. There was a bug here that should be fixed in this version, where it canceled more buildings than it needed, but in this version it should be alright. It will also raise and it will build. So if you do this and you
Make
do
the
not
magic
have the
happen,
money,
KAGGE.
Nice. I have
One
to
more
say
time?
this is a huge
Make the magic happen, I said.
this is a huge
Yeah.
huge step for a lot of
so
players.
so here you will get a building summary, and if you didn't have the, yeah, I think so. If you didn't have the money, it will do as much as it can, and then you will see the building summary, and it might not be 100% obviously, but it will try to cancel the first part, then it will raise if you have the money, and if you don't have the money, it will raise as much as possible. And the third part is building, obviously.
So it used credits first.
Yeah, so it depends
if-
on if you have credits checked, like checked off. So you'd have to check the box there. And I don't know if you saw in the section there, and okay, you may have not mentioned it. He went into what it'll do if you don't have enough money. But in this summary page, it tells you what it'll cost, and so it gives you the overall cost. If you don't have the money, then right, it's kind of like what do you expect? Like,
Yeah, so
it's telling you.
what it will actually do is, if you have buildings to cancel, let's say you have 0, you have no GC and you want to do this. Yeah, it will cancel your building. That's what will happen. And if you have some cash, it will cancel and it will raise, and you will be left with like buildings that are not built. And there is also a reason why we have use available credits on build and raise. That's because these are not separate anymore. We will need to say, do we want to use credits on build or raise or both? And that's important because the line it is cancel, raise, build. But yeah, otherwise it does everything fully we want to. So here we got have canceled instead of you have raised, or you have destroyed, and you have given orders to work on. So you yeah, so for me that's a big plus. I will actually just give you a hint on the building calculator. This is by no means done. This is super early. I just implemented this today. But you get a little bit of
Sneak peek
overview of it.
here. Yeah, sneak peek,
Yeah,
if you
sneak
will.
I mean, this is a
also
huge sneak
actually
peek, not gonna lie.
If you increase the homes, it also updates your current build. So it actually depends on what you have actually inputted, not what you actually have. So if you want to change the current build and save that one, you can just change it in build if you want to. The theory here is that you can, when you press add new, you start with 0%, and you can just input exactly what percentage of each building you want, and then you save it. And you can name it whatever you want, and it will save on the current phone as of now. And in the future, we hope to be able to save it on the fully implemented. There is nothing really weird in this page. You just get whatever you wanna assign to, and it should just get it saved. There is no extra dialogue or anything here because you can just change this as it is, and you get a little bit of information about your assigned effectiveness and generation. And you got books. And no sliders here for now. We might add it if people miss it. But the only thing here that's pretty fun is that if you input something, it will limit whatever you put. So if you start putting whatever, it will always limit it to the maximum amount of books, and it will also, if you check at the category grade every time you input something, how much you have left. And this is obviously category based. So you have economy, military, and you got art and art. And you also get this summary afterwards. I might add a summary before you press the button, just like growth, just to be consistent. But as for now, it actually invests it right away.
Okay, so I have it's not really a question. I'm just commenting on a question that was asked about the supporting 10K members. Like, can we elaborate on that?
Well, so the question is, if the current support team can't support 1,700 members, which we have now, how do we expect to support 10,000 members? And I disagree with the premise of the question that we can't support 1,700 members. Our support team, is there's a group of us, and we've been handling support emails as they come through fairly quickly. I'm not aware of any issues right now, so I don't agree that we're not able to support 1,700 members as the game grows. There's certainly going to be more ability to spend more time doing that, bringing more people in to help when we need it. I mean, that's the bottom line. If the demand is there, and people need help, we'll be here to offer that. There's no indication to me right now that we're not able to support the current members that we have. So.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that meant that you guys need more or less,
Yep.
of a support member.
So I don't know if it's you or me, but I didn't quite hear all that. I think you were cutting out.
It was cutting out a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't hear.
Yeah, I have push to talk on, so it kind of cuts me. But it kind of suggested that you guys need more people available to handle all these requests and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's not quite a lot of requests. That's I think the bottom line there. The people who are most outspoken about not getting support aren't.
They're the
really
big babies.
I mean, they're not necessarily asking for support in a way where we can help, where we can reasonably help. And in instances like that where it takes time for us to, how are we going to handle what this person is actually asking us to do, isn't always a simple, black or white answer. And so some of those things may take a little bit more time to handle. But ultimately, when a player needs help, or there's a problem or something like that where it requires us to respond in a timely manner, I think those are being handled, without issues there.
I mean, I can't disagree with that because I've never had an issue where something has been gone on longer than a day. So. And I don't just report stuff constantly, but.
Yeah, sure. No, I understand. Appreciate that. So KAGGE, where were you?
All right.
So
I guess I'll continue. I will actually refer to the chat with smile, and yeah, I agree, smile. There is a huge bump for new players when we talk about learning this. My first thought was that we might add some overlay for each view you enter for the first time. It won't be probably in the beta or maybe even the release, but my thinking is that you can somehow try to have an overlay and guide players. But yeah, so obviously Utopia is a very hard game compared to most other games, and it's a learning curve, and you kind of need other players. So, like, my first intention is actually that you have, either in Royal Commands or game messages, but you can actually link Discord to the kingdom, because like 99% of the kingdom are on Discord, so you can actually talk to other players, and that's a way to start like connecting with those you're playing with, and then obviously have some kind of overlay to explain things a little bit more. This is you have to think of this as it is an alpha. It's not final. This is not the final design. This is something how it looks right now. The most important things that we have in place are like the backend, that we have the API calls. We have a decent like look of the app. But yeah, I agree. It's really hard to get new people into such a hard game. But it's something that I will have more of a look at after we have like gotten everything in place. Anyway, the last part in sciences is the scientist allocation, and this is not very innovative. It's like you can mark stuff and press the category to move them, and then it will like move them. It's very hard if you are a new player to know that you have to mark them and then actually press it. I think I have had like 50 questions about this. It was an easy implementation, and this is how I did it for now.
This is how
And as
we
I said,
teach everybody. It's how it's done. Once they see it and experience it once, they will know forever. That's all. That's all they need to understand. So you're watching now. You all get it, and now you can spread the word to the rest of the community. This is how you change scientists. It's like the secret
Yeah.
that nobody knows until you know, and then everybody knows.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's pretty easy to teach people how to use science. I mean, it's not
I
like
know.
Genesis has universities,
I
or
know.
yeah, universities, but like
It was really.
it just doesn't make sense.
Even myself, maybe it was just I didn't pay attention to the video that KAGGE sent me on how when he implemented science, because when I went to go use it, it took me like 2 minutes to figure out how to move a scientist around. But then once I figured it out, now it's easy. It's just it was a little not really intuitive, but I mean that's part of the whole tutorial idea. A tutorial that takes you through each aspect of the game to show you that thing, and once you see it, like it's not like you're gonna forget. So. But again, as KAGGE just said, all the stuff is just like make it work, and then testers, feedback, the input. I mean, that's what's so important about alpha and beta testing. Being able to hear back from you guys, the community, the people who are using this app, out in every day, and when you get to it, what you think might be the best way to have something work. And we want to hear what you guys think so that we can make it better that way. If you guys don't like it, I mean, then what good is it? Really, and that's the bottom line. So the feedback and input you guys give is really, invaluable.
So with that in mind, we like those things should be published publicly. Like, there's no reason that we don't have a server to just like give this kind of advice to new players.
I mean,
it won't help most people, but it'll help some.
I think the major issue right now that Utopia is facing is that so many people have tried to set up methods or avenues for new players to learn, but unfortunately they've never been 100% maintained, and some of them got very specific to the point where age changes would all of a sudden invalidate some of the key points that were in those articles or part of that guide or whatever the case may be. Ultimately, Utopia is a team-based game, and the way the structure I think it ultimately would work best for new players is they need to kind of understand that you can't just jump in by yourself and start a whole kingdom and have 25 players or 24 players under your command and you have absolutely no experience. I mean, that could very well happen, but most likely not so much nowadays. So I think. And we do have a mentor team as well. Like, there is actually a chat function in the game right now. I'm not even sure if it's active still, but you used to be able to reach out to a mentor and these people do have tags in the Discord server, and they were supposed to be helping the new players kind of get onboarded and answering those new questions and stuff. But from what I can tell, the system isn't really working correctly at the moment. So I think, the main goal for me, at least on the social media side, is going to be to kind of amalgamate all these different guides and tutorials and mentors that we have, and get some kind of system set up and working. But ultimately, as I said, it's a team game. If you're a new player, you should be joining a kingdom, as like an attacker role or something like that, and your monarch should kind of act as your steward and kind of bring you up to speed with the game. A lot of games are traditionally not like that, so I think that's part of the learning curve as well. But I think what we're trying to do with the app is eliminate a lot of the background work, like calculators on the side, pen and paper on the side, Google Sheets and things like that on the side. Like, for instance, what Kage was just showing with the building summary, you can just go in and say your monarch says, hey, how much gold do you need in order to do this, You can go to that building summary, and without having any Excel spreadsheets or whatever, you can just plug in the numbers and tell your monarch whatever they need to know right away. So I think, that's going to help with the learning curve a little bit on the new player side. But at the same time, as I said, we need to bring and rein in like all these different ideas that have been had over the past and create some sort of tutorial system. And as Kage said, that overlay that kind of teaches you how to use the pages would be very important as well. But I think, players need to really grasp that it is a team game, and so much can be learned from your team, especially your monarch. So there is that as well. I mean, that kind of puts the onus on the players as well, because everything's dependent on people, and we can't just write guides. We'd be writing guides all day and night, and it would be more of a psychology, behavioral tutorial more than a how to play the Utopia. Because I mean, look at the way wars are conducted now. Look at the way kingdoms run now. It's more talking and discord back and forth between each other than it is running numbers or doing any of that kind of stuff. Like it's a lot of work to run a kingdom, for instance, and you need to have those connections with your kingdom to make sure that it runs smoothly. So a lot of the issue is it's not really an issue, but like it's on the players and the kingdoms to kind of train their new players, whoever they get in from the outside world. And again, Utopia is not your standard, just jump in, start shooting, and within the end of the round, you're the number one player on the server. It's not going to be like that. And, unfortunately today, a lot of people are looking for that immediate satisfaction. So there might be a little bit of a slow draw to bring players in, but I think, ultimately streamlining the game, streamlining the systems, creating the support structure, and having people that are actually maintaining it. And again, as Kage and David were saying, we're trying to build the game so it's more intuitive. It's going to upgrade all the systems all at once. The bots, Intel site, the wikis, all going to be updated, at the same time, and without a ton of admin effort required. So I mean, we got to take some of the stress off of David and the Muga team, as well as anyone on the developer side, because we can't just sit here all day troubleshooting things. So the game needs to become more intuitive so that players have an easier time to get things they want to get done going on. So I think that's again going to be part of the social
why
media.
would it not just, like people? All right. The learning experience for Utopia is very difficult. So having all these tools to make everything easier does not help really anything in learning stuff when you're a leader. All you have to do is tell people what to do. So there's no real reason to learn anything being a new player.
That's one of the things that will be easier, right? Because if especially with like an API, I'm not like focusing on the backend now. I'm thinking everything which has to do with both the homepage and the app and the backend. If we can like provide anything that when everything is set up, right? You can push anything from the backend to either the homepage or the app, and show that and try to help out with those things. We have no like plan for this right now, from what I know, at least not in the app. But I mean, there are numerous possibilities with the API that we are now building but we need to build the basics before we can like move on to quality of life or.
But it's still one of those conditions where most new players, like, as long as they're active, it doesn't matter what their knowledge of the game is. It only matters what 1 to 5 probably, maybe more, people tell them what to do. Like that's literally what the game is at this point. So
Right, I think what you're talking about is like leadership, being able to run their group and give people orders and having people listen to the orders, right? So the new player doesn't really need to know the game as long as they can follow instructions, and through the process of following instructions, they get to learn bits and pieces here and there, and then they become better at self-management and other things like that. Is that kind of what you're getting at there?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I certainly understand, and it takes a certain person, that really gets into the game, where it becomes more of a just give me orders and let me do what you want me to do, to step into the role of I want to be able to understand why we're doing this, so I can maybe help out and run part of the TM guild or back
Which
in
is
the day how they used to do all that
honestly
stuff.
why I think like it's not that the game is easy, but it should be more of that. What can I do? What do I need to do in order to be a better player? Not just what can I follow.
You also talked about very, very specific kingdoms, right? Because
Yeah, well,
like not every kingdom
Yeah.
that this and this build you should have, right? Sure, if you want to be top, I guess there will be a build for everyone, and everyone gets their orders like they want to.
I mean, I only played Genesis, so I don't really care about one of Legend.
Yeah, but I've played in. I guess it doesn't matter very much, but I've played in Rehearse when I started again, and we have two rules really for. Well, rules is an overstatement, but it's. I think this is very different kingdom to kingdom, right? Sure, the very best, the very biggest kingdoms will have strict rules. But those who play a little bit more back off, maybe middle of the rankings, right? They don't have the same rules from the monarch.
That's a kind of a double-edged sword at that point, because a lot of the top tier kingdoms actually don't require as much input from their monarchs or their leadership team, because they themselves they know how to play the game, how to manage their province.
Exactly.
Like if my monarch is doing a wave, and I'm not there for the wave, I'm not in Discord, and I know my army needs to march, because I'm in net worth order or whatever the case may be, or again I totally missed net worth order, but I still got to march. I look at the kingdom news, I identify who the chain targets are, I see who's been hit, who's not been hit, who our ops are avoiding, and then if I can't reach the leadership team, I usually make a hit according to what I see there. Now that's just based on my experience of the game, and I can do that because I have actually been a monarch and a leader and things like that. So when I see them conducting a plan, I can just look at the game data, and from that I can make my own moves. And a lot of these top tier kingdoms have players that are capable of this. So to your point, KAGGE, some of them do have very strict rules, but some of them don't actually. You'd be surprised how little rules there are in some of these kingdoms at the top.
I mean, when I led, it was only just, can you play your province? That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And that's how it should be, right?
Take a look at your PM, just off topic there. Sorry.
And I just want to let you guys know that this team meeting, we're going to have to relaunch it because it's coming to the 1 hour time limit for this current one. So there'll just be a brief pause while we get David and KAGGE back into the new room, and then David can start showing us the intel site.
That means, KAGGE, you've only got 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes to finish up your display. Unless everybody wants to continue to see more.
I can be quick about this last one. So I will quickly go through Explore, which is just Explore. The only thing that is different compared to web page is that it will show you a summary, and that summary will tell you how much does it cost, how much does you have, and what do you get after. And even if you input too much, it will actually explore whatever you can explore. And so it's just a confirmation dialogue.
So I don't see anything.
Yeah,
Am
you
I
know,
seeing a blank screen, or is everybody seeing?
Yeah, you know, we actually
I
lost
think
the video feed for that one.
it is this as well. So
Yeah, sometimes. There we go. There we go. Now we're seeing it.
This is my go-to screen right now, exploring in Genesis.
You know, I did think about
Giraffe.
I did think about just creating a province in Genesis to explore, but I have been.
I mean, it's all we can do in the app. All we can do in the app. We're just injecting acres into the rest of the server. I mean, it's good. Well, except for me, because I'm in protection. But
yeah, what's your?
You can just inject acres.
because I just lost my connection, so.
Oh yeah, that happens, and of course the video is just about to come to. Well, it still says we have 3 minutes, so I mean we got 3 minutes until it shuts us down here. But oh, there we go. It's back up again.
Squandering his time.
All right. So
Oh no.
yeah, I can't explore anymore because I explored all the acres I could. But anyways, the explore isn't that like special. It's just that you get the confirmation screen, so you can see how many soldiers will it cost total, how much gold will it cost, what will you have left after you have explored. And obviously, as you can see on the screen, maybe I think that if you try to explore when you can't, you will get an error message. Anyways, explore isn't. It's kind of just explore. It's not much to think about. Military, however, we do not have release. Just a nice message that says that you can't release in this version. Not much to say there. Anyways, so
the important part is that
train
it's
here
there, and you can actually see and move stuff around. So that's a good step in
Yeah.
that direction.
Explore is fully supported. So yeah, that's true. Military training, I want to redefine a little bit. I'm not sure if you can see this yet. The amount home tends to overlap, especially on smaller resolutions. But even on my screen, which is quite high resolution, it overlaps. So this is probably a point of like redesign for military training. But the most important thing here is that you will have your credits, your accelerated training, and when you press train, you get a summary. You see how much gold.
Yeah, and we just lost the.
And there it ended. Yeah.
It's okay. I'm just,
anyways,
just relaunching
so
it right now.
I can actually explain the last part because this is the last part that's implemented, and it's only like you get the training summary where you can see how many soldiers you will have left, how much gold you will have left, so it's easier to like plan ahead, I guess. And that's it for the app for now.
Nice. So exciting. It's
Nice.
so exciting. It looks great. I think we've come a long way, and I think everybody is excited to see what's next, and getting that opened up to more people. It's gonna be really great.
Yeah, and I will have to say that I would have to say thank you a lot to Isaac with here. He has been doing the design.
All right, and we're back on streaming here, so we got that back up so David can do his presentation of the Intel site. Thank you so much, KAGGE, for all of that.
Yeah, I'm glad too. It's
Benji, we got you in the room right now. Is there anything you wanted to say? Well, we still got KAGGE on the line in case he has to disconnect.
Yeah, my batteries and stuff are cutting out.
Can you hear me?
Any questions, don't talk. Yes.
We got you, Benji.
Look, just saying thanks. Looks great. It's good progress, and that, the fact that you're heading towards a direction where we can use less of a web browser a little bit, or have the opportunity to use that app, is so exciting to me. I think just kind of touching on what Elixir was saying before as a leadership perspective, and Wind knows because he's in my kingdom. I mean, there's two ways you go with leadership, and if we're going with the perspective of leaders teaching new players, from my personal perspective, it's about reducing the load for them, in the sense of making time-saving options that are currently in the which I would say the current game, and then looking in your current coding and saying how can we save some time. So the feature that you showed us today about that building was I was just sitting there going as a leader going that would save me so much time. So just thank you for doing the work, and it looks great.
Thanks. So
Yeah.
that's so nice.
Wait till you see some of the stuff that all the teams have in store. I mean, KAGGE's got his stuff, which is as you said, amazing, and then some of the stuff that we're really thinking about doing for the Intel site, to really take the load off leaders, as you say. I mean, that's really the biggest thing. That the biggest complaint we hear from all players and leaders is the strain on leaders, to be able to take that stuff away. And the build tool is just one of those little things. It's in the current Intel site, and it works really well, but it's not intuitive how to set it up and how to do it to get it so that all your kingdom mates can use it. And what KAGGE has going here, it's up front, in your face, here's how you do it, and it's going to be so easy. So the accessibility and the ease of use is really where that comes in to make it so much more enjoyable for the players, and making it easier for you guys as leaders out there as well, to get the newer players involved without needing to become a full-fledged utopian addict.
Yeah, so to answer Elixir's question from earlier, that's how we're going to create and breed these new leaders, is just by making the systems a lot easier to use and everything more intuitive, and just taking the guesswork out of it.
KAGGE's out.
See you later,
I
KAGGE.
think.
Thanks for joining.
Good night, KAGGE. Thanks for being here.
So yeah.
Sorry
just
for
gonna make it.
interrupting, because my batteries are going out and the clock is going late, so I will actually have to leave. But I will be back to answer every question. So either just PM or write whatever, and I will answer. And so have a nice rest of the podcast.
Yep. Good night there, KAGGE.
Thanks, KAGGE. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Good night.
Super
Bye.
special secret surprise guest, KAGGE. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
All right, everyone.
All right. So what do we have next on the document? And
So it looks like we're going to go over the Intel site first. So you mentioned you had some videos or something that you could show us
yes.
here. So we do have another roughly 55 minutes on this Google Meets, so we shouldn't be interrupted by that going forward.
That should be no problem. Let's see. Let me get this set up over here so I can show you guys through. Share my screen.
And of course, we do apologize for any broadcasting issues that may experience throughout the course of the show. Unfortunately, we were plagued by my number one issue, which was no sound for the first 5 to 6 minutes of the broadcast. But that was mostly just introductions and me talking my face off. So, I'm just going to leave a little note in the YouTube channel just to skip the first 5 to 6 minutes, and that sound will appear after that time when the good stuff actually starts. That is roughly when KAGGE starts doing his presentation of the app, which again is the most important thing. I think the only thing you guys really missed prior to that, meanwhile while David's just setting up his tablet or however he's going to show us the Intel site here, is I'm going to kind of help to take over where Tom kind of left off with the social media, and kind of keep doing what I've been doing before, and hopefully we're going to get some kind of social media team set up with some kind of social media manager, to help us just make sure that everything's running smoothly on the social media websites and really bring more awareness to the different platforms that Utopia currently participates on. Because while we do have a presence on places like Facebook and the blog, it's not really consistent, and there's a lot of stuff that's always missing from there. I found, like, for instance, this podcast could have been posted on the home screen for Utopia, but that wasn't actually done this time around. So we just need a little bit more help and time to get these things set up. And once there's systems in place, then everything will be a lot more streamlined. And people are definitely interested in making this kind of stuff work. And Utopia is, I keep saying it, it's a team game, it's a social game. The game literally does not work without other players. There's no AI to fall back on. There's only one option: you play against other players as a kingdom, as a team, and that's the bottom line. I mean, right now there's nothing really else that's supported by the game. So it is important to have people willing to participate in a team environment and learn. But we've taken a lot of feedback over the course of the past few years. Even before KAGGE started developing the app, he touched on it before. It took several months just to get something in front of David that was worth checking out. And I had to have some private chats with David as well, just to outline how this all was going to come together. And it's been a very long road, but as you can see from the app development as well as the Intel site that is now visible on the screen thanks to David, we're getting there, and we're taking a lot of what the best feedback was and a lot of the best things that people want to see, and adding that into what what I've called, or what I'm calling, the revitalization of Utopia. Because as I mentioned before, in my eyes, the game really hasn't changed since I first started playing back in 2001. Now, I have been playing on and off, and the game has changed, in several different ways. But when I think of Utopia, I still have flashbacks to 2009, 2001.
I think I'm lagging a little bit. I don't know why it's going to show me myself over here. But
right now, I do see we've got the Intel site up there. Well, you know what? I can try and what I can do is try and prioritize that one, so it gets rid of these other windows here. That should help reduce some of the. There we go. All right. That should help a little bit.
All right. Yeah, so why don't I just take you guys through some of the stuff here. This is, as we kind of alluded to when we showed some of the screenshots and some of those, I think I posted a movie showing you some of the stuff here. It's really, really exciting. Obviously, none of the stuff is populating from our database yet. This is just to display what some of it's going to look like. It is an Intel site. I know some of you guys were thinking it was the new version of what the web app would look like, but no, that is not it. I know it has some resemblance to some other games out there, but really nothing, not connected in any way. This is all purely coming right out of Spooky's brain there and onto the screen here. Obviously, it's got some resemblance to our current Intel site, as you see, but really, what our goal here is to get you, the player base, what you want to see in front of you as easy as possible and as seamless as possible and as presentable as you want it to be. So there's some generic views here, right? The overview, war room, well, not war room, but military stuff. So basic ideas of what you might be looking for if you wanted to see everybody's science, right? It's sort of like a templated version of that. But obviously, as you see here with this for columns and filters and stuff like that, the functionality that you're going to have here is just going to far surpass our current Intel site that you have there, just by purely allowing you to turn on and off just about anything you want on any page that you want. I mean, obviously we don't show it here, but you could have a custom tab here for yourself to where you build what is it you specifically want to see. What columns do you want to have in this view? So, really, really cool stuff here. being able to customize it, completely so that you can see exactly what you want. I mean, there's 100 kingdoms in Utopia right now, and if there's 100 different leaders, each one of you all wants to see different things at certain times, and you've got your own way of formatting the information, what you want to look at, and how you like all that stuff. It's great. I mean, that's what makes Utopia such a great game, is that we can all play it differently and still be competitive, and have an opportunity to win. And so we want to be able to put this stuff out in front of you guys in the most easy to view way, so that you can get access to it, your kingdom members can get access to it, and you can utilize the information quickly and easily and seamlessly. And so we understand some of the troubles that we've had in the past there with the current Intel site, and we want that to go away. We want to have a good solution for everybody that's part of the game, that everybody just has seamless access to. And so some of the things here that we see, this just your self intel, obviously, similar stuff would be in there for your enemy intel, and then this really cool stuff that over here, I think I may have shown a brief video of some of it there. So you've got some of these, like, I don't even know what you want to call them, but this is some of the stuff Spooky's putting quite a bit of work into building, I guess like simulators for yourself, to show you, what you get, like the various effects you're going to see as a result of what you have, as far as for having your different builds, what it's going to be like. I forget specifically, what your time lapse here does, Spooky, but let's see what the simulation does. Okay, yeah, so it's giving you how much you're drafting for soldiers, giving you, based on how many hours, how many ticks you're going to draft, what are you going to draft out of those ticks, and all the various variables that you see, income, amount of GC earned, soldier. So with your including your ritual and the effect and all that stuff. So the kind of stuff, this is the kind of stuff, and Wynn touched on it before, the kind of stuff that we build spreadsheets for. I mean, I love my spreadsheets, and some of those of you who have played Genesis with me, I can be a little overbearing sometimes, I guess. When we hit end of war ceasefire, making sure we're all, we've got our intel updated, so I can put it into my own spreadsheets that, I build outside, like, has nothing to do with, coding of the game. It's how does this function work, so that we know when to start drafting, how does this work, and other stuff like that. So, I've always been, a numbers guy, and I love being able to do that stuff. And it looks like, Spooky's taking that all away from us now. He's going to do it all here for us. That's what we want this Intel site to be. We want it to be an area where you can go to get everything done that you do on your own. So you don't have to have these 10 different areas that you go and, you piece it all together. Something that you can see, that your kingdom members can see, everybody can access and utilize. So as your new players come, start coming up the ranks, when they start to learn more, how does this work? What does this do? All the stuff that they can really start to see and analyze and utilize, that'll make them a better player. And as they continue to grow into better players, obviously it fosters a better community. It fosters more interaction, more competitiveness, and more growth. As people get more competitive, obviously we all know, as this being the game that we love, the more competitive it becomes for you, the more addicting it is, and the more you want to get into it, and the more you want to keep doing what you're doing. And so allowing all this stuff to be really easy and accessible for us, to do all the things that some of these things are like, the stuff that we might think only top kingdoms have access to, simply because they have the dedication, they have the passion, and they have the skill set and the knowledge to put this stuff together. And me as just the guy in the ghetto around the corner, if I can't build it, then I can't compete. And now here we're trying to offer this stuff as something that everybody has access to, so that if you take the little bit of time that it might take to understand how to use it, all the tools being available to everybody, to make everybody to give everybody that same fair playing field, is really something we're interested in doing here. So, training tick. This one here is going to give you some, I believe, some information on what you have left over when it comes time to train. So you put in all the various variables, right? Your ritual, the armories that you're going to have, credits, and, so all this stuff, and it's going to give you some of the information based on what you'll have left over after you train, based on what troops you're planning to train, right? TPA, D-Specs Breaker, and whatnot. So you get to see, project outwards based on what your province looks like, what you'll have after you're trained. There's some of these things, what your conversion cost is going to be, how much Dragon GC you'll have left over, and then balance of GC afterwards. So some really interesting things here, and I don't think these are all done. So don't take this as face value here as this is it. This is all just stuff Spooky's been working on, just on his own. When he feels like putting something new together, when he's got that itch in his brain to build something new, he comes here and he puts it together. So quick little, how many homes do I need to get maximum building efficiency based on your current province? So there's just some really cool stuff that we have coming down the pipeline here. This is that new Intel site for us. Obviously, we've got the cool theme, and then the other theme, I guess, if you want to call it that. I don't want to be insulting or anything like that, but
yeah. So there's the light theme and the darker theme.
Yeah.
And
if it's not dark, I can't use it.
Yeah, and that's what I switched to a darker theme as well for a lot of my workouts and things like that. It makes the graphs look so much cooler, and to be honest, it just works better for me. But again, it's up to player preference, and you saw how easily he was able to switch between the views there. So hopefully we'll be able to upload some more templates, that players can choose from, or maybe even customize themselves later on down the road.
So I've got just a couple more things I want to go through quickly here before I hand it back over there. Obviously, you got the basic information that you see here.
And just while David's going through the screens, I just want to shout out to one of our developers currently logged into the Intel site doing some work, Connor. You make this stuff happen. So thank you so much for your contribution. That guy's
Connor's been great. Yeah, he's been an integral asset to us doing a lot of the back end stuff. He set up our AWS pipelines. He's been really pivotal in getting that information into our new AWS systems so that we can control it all, filter it into our into the new database that the Intel site will use, and then once we've got that information parsed, we're bringing. There's a couple more people that have recently come on board that are going to help out, building the parsers to parse that information, get it into the right place, and once those things are set, it's time to go.
Yeah,
it's time to have some fun.
And that's where the new bot.
And yeah, Connor's been great. He's been really good at that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so pulling from that from the new database, Intel site database, it's great. It really is. It's going to be great. The bot. We don't have anything to show you on the bot yet, but that is spoiler alert. We are going to develop a new bot that will be everything you've hoped for. Everything you've hoped for and dreamed for out of a bot. We are hoping to get that up and running. Again, it's going to play off the same APIs, so it'll have all access to all that information right out of the database, your Intel site database, and you'll be able to pull the information there. We are as part of this, right? We've been talking about it for a while, but as part of the transition from the existing bot in Intel site to the new system here, we are going to implement some of the nice features that we have in our existing bot directly into the game, so that it's less load on it's less after load JavaScript that's being run. It's kind of slowing the system down. So we'll try to put a bunch of that stuff directly into the game, so that it's just a little, snappier, and then the bot afterwards, after the fact, will be able to utilize. It's gonna be so much faster, because see, the way the existing bot works right now is it's ultimately scraping intel information off of your screen, and then it takes it and it puts it into the database, and then it utilizes it. And so the APIs that we're creating are going to send that information directly to the database, which means it doesn't have to wait for it to load and then send. And this can be an issue sometimes when, if the screen doesn't fully load, now the bot doesn't get it. That won't happen here. The information, if the game ran the operation, the Intel site will have it, whether you saw it on your screen or not. And there's going to be no lost Intel. I mean, it's going to be so much better. It's going to make the game run so much faster, smoother, less hiccups. There's really, there's no downside. There's no negatives that I see as a result coming out of this. And the progress we're making with the group that we have is really great. So I'm really happy that we have the group of people that we do, and we're making good progress. And yeah, really, what we were hoping to show you guys here today was some of the things that we've been working on, so that you're just as excited as we are, and so you see stuff is happening. It's not just smoke and mirrors or anything like that. This is real. It's happening, and we're closer than you might think. I know there's not a whole lot of it built right now, but the groundwork being laid was the toughest part to all of this. And now that it's the foundation is there, the rest of it goes up much faster.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that.
So what do we have next? Min? Exciting.
Well, it looks like we talked about the app, we talked about the Intel site, we got a nice sneak peek of both of those. We mentioned the bot as well, and not only that, we did talk a little bit about the social media. I'm just going to take a quick look on my little timeline that I had for us set out earlier to see if there's any topics that we had.
So why don't I just comment while you're looking through some of that? I'll make a quick comment on some of the social media stuff. Social media is a huge aspect of any business now. These days, social media is huge. We do understand that, and it can be tough to keep that up and keep pace with it and be consistent. And we understand that is an important part of being successful in that arena. So we are trying to take some steps to move in that direction, to where we can have consistent social media presences, and just make that whole experience better, so that people out there see it, they see us, they see that there's people there, and there's a community, and hopefully it's a welcoming community that fosters a positive new environment for people, new players, to really come in, join, experience, and become part of the community as we continue to grow. One of the things, and I think, I forget if you said it was on the agenda or not, growth plans. We do have growth plans, how to grow the player base. That's obviously everybody's biggest concern. We continue to see the numbers dwindle over time, and it's a concern for us. It's not something we ever want to see die. This is not something that I will never let that happen. That is something I'm going to strive to never let happen, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure it doesn't. And there are plans in place. COVID really took a major hit on the plans that I wanted to implement. We've got some things ready to go for us. It's just a matter of getting out there, making the presence known, and putting the plan to action, executing that, so that we can start to bring these new players in, and get new blood into the community. And as the new blood filters in, I think we can begin to see a positive growth, and with any luck, exponential growth after that. As we saw in the early days, just imagine being able to get the Utopia that we all grew up with into the hands of a generation and a market that it's easy to use. Just imagine what it was like when we first started, right? Calculators, pen and pencil, And when Angel came along, I mean, just all that stuff that just made the game so interesting. It's just, just to imagine that people can have the access to that stuff, ease of use and accessibility. It's going to be it's going to be a lot of fun to watch as it continues, as it starts to grow. And I'm excited to see that happen. I'm excited to make that happen. It is going to take a little bit more time, but once we get there, right, I have confidence we'll get there.
And as you said, like when we started putting this plan together, it's almost been like 2 years in the making now. It's amazing we've come this far. We needed to set out a real roadmap that would make this actually possible. And there were a lot of issues we started out at the beginning with that we identified that had to be taken care of. And a lot of that's already been taken care of, like moving over to the AWS system, as well as updating the Intel site and working on the app. Like just, again, the smoothness and the way that the game will run, in the near future is just going to change everything completely. Like even when I had the fastest connection in the world, I was still experiencing bottlenecks and all kinds of lag because of the delays in the time it took the bot to communicate with the database and back and forth and all this and that. That's going to be a thing of the past. It's going to be literally limited by how quick or how good your connection is. So that was one of the major issues that we were facing, because when there were a lot more players on the servers and you go into these wars, a lot of the times the game would lock up for 5-10 minutes, if not more. Some players couldn't even do an op. They couldn't march their army. They couldn't even see their throne screen. And so someone made a comment about support not being able to handle 1,700 users or 10k users or whatever, but the biggest concern in my mind was, will the game be able to handle 10k, 100k or more users? I mean, definitely it would have struggled very much in the past, but ultimately, like, we've been able to overcome a lot of those issues. And then another issue was, can developers keep up with the game and the changes? Like, if someone has to go in and hard code or recode all the changes to the age, that's a very time consuming thing. And sometimes, after we committed to it, you find out that, we can't actually do that because of, the way that it was proposed, or it needs to be changed, or we need to go back on some mechanical change that, we were hoping to implement, but it just couldn't be done. So, it's going to take a lot of pressure off David and the team as well going forward with these new systems that we're setting up to make sure the game a little bit more intuitive and run a lot more smoother without so much input from a programmer or a developer, or if someone needs to take over from KAGGE, for instance, with the new language that he's writing and the new software he's using, it's going to be so much easier than it was before. So there's a lot of steps that we need to make sure are covered and things are in place in order to make sure that this game does not decay over time due to lack of maintenance or lack of attention, because as we all know, computer systems can easily back up, or errors can happen, and without proper debugging or coders to work on it, the whole thing could just break down. So we're trying to make it not 100% self-sustainable, but we want it to be able to more or less take care of itself with as little interaction from admins as possible. Like, I honestly want David to be able to load a text file by pressing 2 buttons, and that's the age changes, for instance. And it's not about, I'm working as hard as I can to get these things coded. No, it's going to be like, hold on, let me just upload the file. All right, done. That's kind of where we want to be with that. And, I didn't really want to push social media too hard until, that's kind of the final step, because we want to make sure that all this infrastructure and systems are set up and able to handle these potential new players. And not only that, it's not just the infrastructure of the game, but also the support system. We want to make sure that players are going to be able to learn the game. They can pick it up and start playing without keeping their calculator open and a spreadsheet open and trying to learn all the secret formulas to the game. Whereas, as KAGGE was showing us, you just go into the summary screen or pre-summary screen and it's there for you. I think, David, you're trying to say something maybe, but I'm not quite hearing you on my screen right now. I think
on the topic list there.
Oh, there we go. Got you back.
What do we got next? Anything else for us to talk about? I think we covered quite a bit here.
Yeah, I mean,
people have been able to see what we want to show them.
The broadcast is coming up to the hour and a half mark. I mean, Evil Queen did mention that she would like us to do a little bit more with regards to the bot and the Intel site a little bit more in the future. So that's definitely a podcast we can look at doing when we have a little bit more substance to show everybody. But for sure, the last thing on the agenda was really just to let you guys know that part of the social media experience that we're trying to create and community that we're trying to build, we do actually have a writers guild now. So anyone who out there who feels like they're creative or likes writing or just they like to make art as well, we do have a lot of artists on the team as well who are constantly working to make little icons or pictures or some fan art for the game as well. And what the Writers Guild is doing is we're actually coming up with stories, so kind of like essentially it's fan fiction for Utopia. So eventually it'll be a short collection of collection of short stories and things based on the ages, or just based on Utopia lore, as it were. And there's a few of us already working on those kinds of stories and things like that. And you guys see me post them from time to time in the news as well as in the forums. Definitely, if you guys like that kind of stuff, be sure to post and request more. Unfortunately, because it is creative work, it doesn't just I can't just sit down and start pounding away at text and hopefully it comes out good. A lot of times I have to be in some kind of mental state in order to write things like that and have a really good idea going. But that is something that we are working on to help increase the social media presence and to increase people's interest in the game, because this isn't just your standard game. This is you have to think. There's teamwork involved, there's mathematics involved, there's language involved, there's behavioral things involved. There's so many things to look at in this game. There's really not too many other games like it on the market right now, or especially free games. It's not really heard of. Most of the free games you can get on your phone now are not to say that they're all garbage, but they're pretty trash and a total waste of time. Really just clickbait games out there. Utopia is something entirely different, and to be honest, that's why I've stuck with it for so long, because there's so much to Utopia. It's not just a login, click some buttons, and log out. You could do that, but there's just so much more than just a standard video game here. And I think that's why the players have stuck around as long as they have, and people are just refusing to quit, because the Utopia is not just your average game that you can pick up and start playing. So I think that's what's keeping the current player base alive. But again, like you said, we're very close to starting to inject the new players, and there's a lot of great stuff coming out. You just need to be patient, and we promise it's actually going to happen this time. There's not going to be any false promises of, oh, the app is coming out, and then 10 years later it's still not come out. And as KAGGE said, the timeline has been accelerated greatly on the app development. Now, for all of you iOS users out there, obviously that's something we're going to have to work on once we have a full release of the of the Android version. But the main issue there is we don't actually have anyone who can write the app for iOS. So again, I've asked in the past, but if there is anyone who knows anyone who's willing to put some time and effort towards Utopia and getting the iOS version of the app running, no time like the present to start communicating with KAGGE and let David know what kind of APIs need to be in place and how it needs to be set up so that both can run inline and players can communicate with each other without any issues. Because ultimately, we want desktop users, phone users of whatever OS they've got to be able to play and enjoy the game, without us having to, do a ton of work every age just to make sure that it all gets reset and maintained properly. So with that in mind, I'd like to thank everyone for joining. David, I'm just going to open up the floor now. If you had any last comments or anything to say. Of course, anyone in the Discord has anything to say as well. Now's the time. Please raise your hand, or any comments that you have in the in the thing, in the chat. I'll just take a quick look. Elixir, you're back in the room now, so if you want to,
yeah, here I am. But
let's get going.
Apple is not an easy store to get into, for real. So why not just start with Android? I know you guys have started with Android, but I would just focus on that initially.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean,
Yeah.
that's why we're kind of sticking to it. Until we get a full release of Android, we're not really gonna even consider an iOS app. But the sooner we get
I mean,
someone
you
on
really
board,
can't, honestly.
yeah. But ultimately, like I said, the sooner we get an iOS developer on board who can just communicate with KAGGE and say, hey, look, this might be an issue. We might run into this, so maybe we could do it this way or that way. There's a lot of stuff that people aren't aware of when it comes to software development. So, the sooner we have the team kind of together brainstorming, that person might not be developing the app right away, but at least they can give their feedback as to, potential issues or things we might run into when we are getting to that phase of it. But yeah, the
Yeah,
iOS is, in the future for sure, way in the future.
Yeah, but honestly, like iOS, like I don't know how hard it is to get signed up with Apple
Yeah,
Store. But
there's more barriers to get onto the iOS store. It's not as simple as the
yeah,
Google Play Store.
I know. I have tried to put a game on there, but it did not work.
Hey, at least you tried, man. That's the important part. But yeah, that gives you some idea, in the community as well as to why we went with Android, as opposed to trying to tackle the iOS, right away. As David said himself, he has an Apple, so it's not like
Yeah.
he,
Yeah.
it's not like we're just targeting. It's like, oh, we hate those Apple guys, like we're
Yeah.
only gonna make an Android version of this app. And I'm not gonna lie, like I gotta get a new phone soon too, and I'm seriously looking at Apple and looking at my Android, thinking like, oh man, do I really want to go back to Apple and give up my brand new Utopia app alpha testing? Heck no, I'm gonna keep both the phones going at once.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how long it'll take us to get an iOS out after the Android is there. Really, I mean, it wasn't much of a decision, Android or Apple. It was, KAGGE he develops in Android, native language, and so that's what he wanted. That's what he wanted to do because that's what he's more comfortable with. That's what he works with regularly.
That is fair, and it's also easier because Apple just like denies a lot of things.
Yeah, he's not like he can do Apple, but he didn't want to start with that because he's better with the native language with Android. So, I mean, that's where we are. There's been some people who have reached out to me in the past, a while back, a long time ago, that could have done Apple stuff for us, but we didn't have the APIs in place. Now that we do, if there's anybody that has the ability or wants to do start working on something with Apple. I mean, we could consider it. I'm not sure, how we would really work that in so that we're working, together, all on the same page with KAGGE, myself, and whatever we do for an Apple product. But eventually, it will come. I mean, it will be there whether KAGGE does it or not. We will obviously we want to be on all platforms so that it's open to everybody. We don't want to be exclusive to Android. It's just that's where we are right now. Yeah. So I mean. I think all good things there.
That is a very impressive first step for the app. Not gonna.
I agree. Yeah, I don't anything else there. I think that spammer in Utopia FM there was causing the lag, a little bit of lag there. I took care of it. So.
Oh, that's good.
Hopefully that makes it better.
Yeah, you know what? The biggest issue right now, David, is actually the way that my hardware is set up currently at this location. That's a huge bottleneck because the broadcasting software and the YouTube streaming and hosting this this Google Meet is actually using a ton of system resources.
You just need a better computer.
Yes, that's entirely true, Elixir. I've been keeping this bad boy alive for like 7 or 8 years now, just like hacking slash.
You need like an i5 CPU or something.
Oh, that's actually what I have, but it's an older generation.
The new M2 just came out for MacBooks.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Awesome. So with that in mind,
so just I wanted to talk briefly on the art there. Before we close things up there, when the art, the creators, we've got a bunch of creators out in the group as well. And I mean, these people are just they're great. Everything that I've seen them doing over there is really cool. I really enjoy looking at all the creative stuff that comes out there. And if you guys are interested in seeing any of it, I mean, some of it's being posted in the news as it is right now, as Wynn was talking about. Some of the, fan fiction, if you will. What you're seeing there is really just a snippet of what we're looking to do. Just imagine. I mean, I know some of you guys are probably familiar with Magic the Gathering, and how there's sort of fan fiction that goes along with the new sets that come out with Magic the Gathering. Something that we're kind of trying to toy with the idea is to have something similar as we go through various ages here in Utopia, to have some kind of fan fiction that helps explains races and personalities and what's going on in the world of Utopia. If you can just imagine the creativity and the world that we could develop and build there, to bring a whole new side of intrigue to the game and the world of Utopia. It's really interesting and exciting there. I not that I don't think I'm a creative person, but I'm not necessarily a writer, but I really enjoy seeing what those guys are doing over there in that group, and reading what they have there. So if anybody out there hasn't seen this yet, I really encourage you to take a look at the news right here in the Discord, in the Utopia game category, the news channel there. Subscribe to it. It is an announcement channel, so subscribe to that. Anytime these little snippets, news posts gets posted, Wind publishes those out to all the servers, so you get to see what's coming and what's going on, and you get little snippets there. And hopefully, at some point in the future, I don't want to say near future, because this we have no idea how close this is to really coming. But some of the talented people there are putting together some really interesting stuff. That's going to be, we hope, will be a lot of fun to read, and as I'm sure most of us are, really into this kind of genre, if you will, of fantasy and things like that. And so I think what they're putting together there will be an interesting to read for all of us. And some of the stories that they're putting together, it's quite fun to read. So I'm really enjoying that as well, and that's something that a little bit of a spoiler there for you guys, something to pay attention to. And now you can kind of get your fix from the newsroom, and really just be excited to see what we have coming down the pipeline with that as well. That's just all just bonus stuff there for us to really digest as things come along. But I think this has been a great podcast. Sorry, I'm not in the Muga cast room right now. If anybody has any final questions, anybody wants to talk about anything, one of the things we wanted to do here is to be able to show you guys some things, open up the floor to you guys, ask questions, and what do you want to hear about? So I just got a PM there. What kind of deck do I run when I play Magic? I haven't played in a bunch of years. I think it was probably maybe 2 years ago was the last time I played any sort of Magic. I never really got into it. The last standard deck I played was it was stupid. It was a stupid time about it. It was
I run zombies, so
it was Jason. No, it was when Jason Mindsculptor came out. When Jason Mindsculptor came out, that standard.
Oh yeah, dude,
era,
you play blue?
I mean, having being able to have 4 Jason Mindsculptors with I forget the other white.
Yeah,
So
dude,
obviously white.
They absolutely destroy.
I mean,
about
that won every tournament. It was stupid. So, but that's the last time I ever played standard, and I wasn't even playing one of my own decks. I've never been into standard really, but that one was just too good to pass up. I really like to play limited when I play, but again, I haven't played in 2 years or so. I really like the limited formats when everybody's on the same playing field. It's just common theme with me, I guess. I like everybody to be on the same playing field, and just skill versus skill. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, there's a little bit of luck when it comes to limited Magic the Gathering, but I mean, you have the same luck here in Utopia. It's you make your own luck, and I really think you can have a lot of fun when everybody's on the same playing field, and that's one of the greatest things that I like about Utopia. Keeping it that way. Obviously, I mean, I saw a little bit of pay to win stuff there. Utopia will never become pay to win. I don't even want to have a server that is pay to win. To separate it, it doesn't make a good business model. It becomes a really, really not good idea, and I don't ever want it to get there. I want this always to be a competitive strategy versus strategy, and whoever the brightest people are, or the most dedicated people are, win. It doesn't always mean you don't always have to be the most skilled or the most strategic or make the best plans to win. We've seen that happen in the past. Sometimes just pure grinding, and you get there, and that's what I want to see. I want to see competitiveness. I want to see strategy, and I want to see those that continue to go on, and that's what makes Utopia great, and that's what I want to see continuing, and that's what will bring it back into greatness, into once we get into these new markets and everything, and get young blood in there, because and I saw some in the chat earlier, there's nothing else like it. All the games we see today are pay to win, and that's it. I mean, or it's Farmville or pay to win, and that's not what Utopia is. We need to get that out there in front of people to where they see, I can become something great here, and it's going to be determined on my merits and my value and my strategy and my skill, not how much I put in, how much money I pay into it. I mean, that's what's really going to take us places, I think. And so that's what has me really excited, seeing the potential that's there.
I think the awesome thing about Utopia is I look at it as more of an e-sport. Like we're sports teams competing to be the best. I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of what it is to me. It's not as much of a video game.
If this ever became an e-sport,
it's not as much of
it would cause a lot of issues.
2-minute ticks, e-sport style, do or die, 10-hour round, boom, done. I'm so there. That would be great. Everybody who plays Genesis, you guys know that's my sweet spot.
And just want to point out here, Starcop mentioned in the chat here, game is still very playable on the website. He plays mostly on the iPhone. Apple is a pain. Don't spread too thin on projects. Focus and deliver on small steps. It would be nice to track players' performance stats over time. I mean, that is something we could potentially look at. But at the same time, I just wanted to let you guys know, and everybody know.
So I just kind of responded there.
I mean, Apple's not a bad platform to play on, like Safari and stuff. It works perfectly well, so there's no reason to cut it out. But with an app, getting onto Apple, it doesn't work at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the delivering on projects, I just want you guys to know that it's not like we're all every single person has to work on every single one of these projects. No, we have specific teams, specific people doing specific things. No one's really being spread thin, except for maybe David, because he still has to keep the game running as well as do all these APIs and do all these podcasts and things like that.
I mean, he's been running this game for how long? 4 years, 5 years?
5.5 years. Muga has had it. Yep. But there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just me.
Oh, I mean, it's not just you, but you do a brunt of the projects.
Yeah, because he's the everything guy right now, and that's one of the initiatives of all these teams is to try and take some of that off of his plate, so he can focus more on being an owner of Utopia and a director, as opposed to the has to do everything guy.
Taking advantage of the.
That's why I try to be the most supportive Utopian player that I can be.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Advantage of everybody's.
Reading all those pings to you saying, "Hey, do this, do that."
Ooh, we're starting to lose a little bit of latency here on the recording side. Looks like the sound is cut out a little bit. Maybe that's a sign that we all need to go to sleep and get some rest. I'm not sure exactly what happened to your connection there, David, but we can't even hear you talking anymore. I think something's going on. Again, I feel like a lot of the issues are being caused by my setup here on the hardware side.
I can't be everywhere.
Podcast.
Pretty much what you
I think
said.
so. All right. Well, I mean, I think it's good. I think we're good to wrap things up here.
Absolutely.
I don't see any more questions coming in. So, thank you, Win, for helping put this together and taking the time out of your day and to plan and get this stuff going. Thank you everybody for joining and showing up, and I hope you guys enjoyed what you saw. And we look forward to doing this again so that we can continue to keep you guys in the loop and show you what we have in development. What else do you have there for us, Wind? Wrap this up.
That's pretty much it, guys. So make sure you submit your ideas to Bright Ideas, and always check out the newscasts and announcement casts all the time, because we do periodically put out forms and stuff for you to fill out about what you think would make Utopia better, or any feedback you can give on changes even. Again, the main thing, just participate. This is a team game. It's a team environment. This is all players here. Again, there's no AI. The game's not going to keep running without you guys. We need you guys and girls, of course. So thank you so much for everything that you've, all your time that you put in, all the players that you trained and brought into the game or brought back to the game. David, especially, thank you so much for all of your time and effort you put in over the past 5 years. The game would not be the same as it is today. Heck, the game might even be dead by now if you hadn't taken it over. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, exactly. And again, thanks you for all your comments, Elixir, and everybody else who posted anything in the chats. The YouTube version of this will be available probably in high definition within the next hour or two. This is about a 2-hour podcast, so it will take some time for them to render it on their servers. But the audio should be crystal clear at that point. Again, because I'm taking over so much, a lot of the the infrastructure end on the back end here for like the broadcasting and streaming, it's really doing a number to my computer. So my connection or my microphone may not sound the best, but it will once the YouTube version is rendered correctly. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Be sure to stay tuned to news, as well as voice all your opinions and bright ideas. We love to hear them. We do read them, and we try our best to incorporate all these great ideas into the game. So again, thank you to our special guest DAVIDC and our extra super special guest KAGGE, who was able to join us at a moment's notice despite his time zone. It's like 4 a.m. for him right now. So thank you so much for being a soldier, KAGGE, and hopefully you're not too tired when you're trying to take care of your kids tomorrow. It is Father's Day tomorrow, so anyone who has children, happy Father's Day. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and be sure to check out all the future upcoming casts and a lot of the great content we've got coming, not to mention the upgrades to the game itself. So thanks so much, everyone. This is your host, Wind, signing off.